This podcast discusses a range of topics and is intended for mature audiences. Adult language may be heard throughout the episode. This podcast is for private, non-commercial use. The views and opinions of the cast, the guests, do not necessarily reflect any agency, organization, or company that they work for.
Oh my gosh.
Goodness.
I've seen some crazy things. Accidentally caught a nurse shark one time, let it go, obviously.
Yeah.
But then it turned into marine park, so can't fish here anymore.
So no conking off here and anything.
Never could get conch, never could get lobster. But I used to catch like grunts and snappers
Okay.
and stuff. But you can't even do that. Jacks, I caught a 10-pound jack one time.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
No.
Well, I guess, let's just get the show on the road, huh? As you can see, we got a nice green screen behind us now.
Yep.
This is totally fake
This
in
is,
the studio. Sorry.
This is a new studio.
Green floor as well.
Yeah, green floor as well. Yeah.
This isn't sand.
So some
Green
nice,
people.
we got CGI budget. $10,000 sun behind us.
There's the light right there.
That's the light right there.
Through too.
Hey, I tell you.
God said, let there be light.
Oh man.
On this beautiful
So-
Sunday.
We are live on scene, having a beach location, a little staycation.
Little staycation.
Staycation, podcation. Hey, there we go. Hey, that's what they pay me, the $0. So yeah, welcome to the Link Up podcast. I don't know what we're gonna call this, but we'll figure out something.
Podcation.
Yeah, podcation, man.
That's the title. Already figured it out.
The podcation, Culture Renegades,
You got that the
podcation.
first time, now
Hey,
you're
man.
2 for 2.
I guess I'm Chris, and we have with us Miss. What year you was in Miss Teen?
When it's that.
Claims to
Miss 2010 Miss Teen Keisha in the building. How you doing, Keisha?
Everyone
I'm good. How are you?
stand up the celebrity. She's here.
Keisha, the host of your most controversial pod talk in the Cayman Islands.
Isn't the most controversial?
I mean, you had some bits on there.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it definitely had some people ruffle some
Yeah,
feathers.
some producers definitely got the calls like, yo, you need to...
We got some calls to pull down some content.
That's how you know you made it. That's how you know you made it.
Philip Richter, World Talk host. How you doing?
I'm very excited to be here. It's truly an honor and a blessing. This is definitely a new step forward. Like I was saying to you earlier, like nobody in media does this. I mean, look, we're by the beach. You
Yeah,
know,
we're on the water, man. Sunrise.
In the most
Woke
beautiful district.
up hella early this morning.
Yeah.
So I guess you've heard the voice, you've seen the face. Let me do a little intro. She is a graduate of Florida, University of Florida,
Ooh.
aka the Swamp,
Hey.
aka Gator Nation.
Yeah.
Go Gators! Can we do a little
Gator chomp. Always doing gator chomp.
Gator chomp? She's a Olympic gymnast. Competed in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics.
Very nice.
And most recently, she was crowned 2024's Miss Universe Cayman Islands.
Ooh.
But most importantly,
What's the
above all that, she's an East Ender.
Hey.
Yay! That's the most important accolade. That goes at the top of the CV.
Most importantly.
Most
Achievement East Ender.
So-
Tired.
You need
So,
to-
welcome to the show, our
you.
Miss Universe Cayman Islands, Raegan Rutty. Thank you
for
for having us.
Thanks for coming over, guys.
Hell
Yes,
yeah.
of course. It's beautiful.
Whoever does your Wikipedia page, they need to rearrange it. Like,
Early life is just East Ender. That's it.
as an
Adult
East
life,
Ender.
East Ender. That's an
Oh man, I woke up so early this morning,
What
and
time did you wake up?
4:15.
Dang, Chris.
Yeah, 4:15. I was up.
Before you.
Oh, you up before me?
Yes, I was.
Okay. How to get that hair straightened up nice and
I
now?
know you were
Yeah,
going
you got the
there.
hair. You got the hair dyed up nice and red now.
It's ready
This for Christmas, huh?
season,
Hey.
Sag
Beautiful.
season. Thank you.
But when I arrived here and started moving furniture down and setting up and stuff, kind of upset the pups. Then I was like, I heard the growls and the barks. I started to get a little bit scared. I was like, dang, these dogs are not.
I heard
And they're
and I was
not
like,
small.
oh shoot, I was
They're
supposed to
not
go
small.
put them
They're
up.
not small. I was like, man,
They're the best guard dogs, honestly. They bark at their own shadow. I love them though.
What kind of dogs are they?
So there's two. Tebow is a boy. He's from the Humane Society.
Is he named after Tim Tebow from University of Florida?
Yes, he is. Because Let me just explain the reasoning behind the name. So our dog died, R.I.P. Bosley, loved him. And I was in training in Houston, Texas, and I saw the ad on the Humane Society, and I sent it to my mom and sister like as a joke, not thinking that they were gonna do anything about it because I send them things all the time and they don't respond. Anyways, and I called them like an hour later, and I was like, "What are you guys up to?" And she was like, "We're going to the Humane Society." I was like, "For what?" And they're like, "To go look at the dogs," because it was just a foster. Because at the time it was you foster once they pass their test, then they go to New York to get adopted. And my sister apparently looked at the dog and said, "Well, when this one fails his health test, you call us." And like 4 days later, they called and they're like, "Funny enough, the dog that you pointed to failed the health test because he had ringworm. That's it." And so that's how we brought home Tebow. But I knew I had a name either after a Miami Dolphin football player or a University of Florida football player for my dad to be convinced. Oh, did they play today?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
let's all say a moment of silence. Anyways. And then my dad really likes like big, tough dogs. Like we had this big Labradoodle that would bark so deep that it would scare everyone. He loved German Shepherds and Rottweilers. So that's how we got Chica. And she is just something. Honestly, she just has no idea what's going on. She's just here for a great time.
She's just like clueless. She just wanders around.
Yeah, she loves everyone. People are more scared of her than Tebow because she's a Rottweiler, but she's the nice one. Tebow's the one that will kind of get you because God bless him, he was abused. But Chica's here for a good time, not a long time. She's in mood.
Yeah.
So you adopted the dog from the Humane Society?
I did adopt a dog from the Humane Society. Adopt, don't shop.
Yeah.
I see that going around all the time now.
But this isn't the only animal you've saved.
I've saved a lot of animals. I'm an animal lover. My cat, I found her when I was about 7. And I named her Ninja because she would climb the coconut trees. And my parents were like, "You are not naming our cat. You're not naming them Ninja." But the dog at the time was Bosley from Charlie's Angels. So we named her Farrah for Farrah Fawcett because my mom said that her animals protect her 3 children. Aww. Or her 3 angels.
That's so
Hi,
cute.
Angel.
Big up moms. Hi, moms.
And her name is Angel.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
We need
Angel.
Momager.
She seems so unimpressed.
She's like, here she goes yapping again.
Before we officially started recording, you were telling us some wild experiences that just happened in these waters behind us. You want to share some of those stories?
Oh my gosh, there is so many.
Well, I mean, like how she almost lost a leg.
Yeah.
Got eaten by a shark.
Start with that.
Yes, I have so many great stories. I grew up out in Frank Sound. Just my whole entire, we were even talking before while the men were setting up about how my entire childhood was just the water, whether it was fishing, skiing, playing. I used to feed the eels right there. Oh my gosh, I should do that after the podcast, show you how I feed the
some eels?
Cool,
Yeah, they it's a feeding frenzy. Like you just watch them tie themselves in a knot, almost being bit by a shark. You know, we had an interesting childhood.
Good times.
Great time.
Great times.
Makes for a great story and podcast episode.
Oh, for sure.
Oh man. So what have you been up to these days? what keeps you busy?
Miss Cayman keeps me
Miss
busy.
Cayman keeps you busy? I saw you
Yes.
post some stuff. You were hanging out in East End, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Listen, those are my favorite kind of events between Savannah and East End because I don't have to drive too far. The event was at 3:30 and I got to leave here at 3:25. I was like, wow, this is the towner life. I was like, this is nice. Yes, I had 2 events in East End, so it was a busy day yesterday. Every day is either an event, podcast, meetings, but
Radio,
interview. So I keep busy. I try.
Oh man. So 2024 Miss Universe. I just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So what made you like kind of wanted to throw your hat in there and enter that race?
I've always wanted to be Miss Cayman.
Really?
Yes, I have like Snapchat memories from when I was like younger saying, "Oh my gosh, Mariah Tibbetts followed me," which is so funny because then she ended up like being one of my best friends. And Monique Brooks, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to be Miss Cayman because from a young age, I just saw the role model and she was an inspiration. She was a community leader. And I really wanted to have that impact on my community because I think especially coming from East End, I was just such a patriotic Caymanian. So for me, after the Olympics, I really experience what it was like to be a leader. I loved using my platform even as an athlete to inspire young Caymanians, to tell them to go after their dreams and just also teach them the importance of mental health. But I knew that Miss Cayman would elevate that. I always planned on doing it after university. I thought I was going to take a gap year, do Miss Cayman, and then go back to school. But then halfway through my senior year, I was like, maybe I don't need to do more school and I just need to become Miss Cayman. So, because I like halfway through university, I was like, let me just go to grad school and do the regular life. But then halfway through my senior year, I was like, Raegan, you've always had this dream. You don't want to live with regrets. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just did it. I have a Snapchat memory, I think it was February 1st, 2024, of me saying, I just submitted my Miss Cayman application. So it was something that I'd always wanted to do, and I'm very proud that I went after the dream and achieved it.
What were you studying in school?
Psychology.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I wanted to be a child therapist, because I was always very interested in the psyche. From my experience with mental health, seeing therapists, I wanted to help someone else in that sense. So I went to school to study psychology. I did the internships at advocacy centers, learned all the counseling techniques, became a first aid mental health responder for a crisis. But then also halfway through my senior year, I realized, maybe this whole therapy this thing isn't for me, because while mental health is something that I'm very passionate for, I think being a therapist is a completely next level. And I'm very empathetic. I feel people's emotions so strongly that I almost realized while being an intern at the advocacy center, I was almost switching that switch off too much, that I was becoming too numb to even feel like my own emotions. So I wasn't able to quite find the balance. Yeah. But I still wanted to be, a champion and advocate for mental health. So I think being Miss Cayman is the perfect balance of, I didn't have to do more school and pursue a complete career diving into the field, but I'm still able to have a positive impact in the field.
Yeah.
So is that one of your items that you want to champion during your year as Miss Cayman, mental health?
Oh, absolutely. I started this whole podcast and just talking about mental health.
The Raegan
The
way?
Raegan way. Episode coming tomorrow, Monday, 12 p.m.
On YouTube?
On YouTube and Spotify. But never a shameless plug. But I always loved talking about mental health, because when I was 16, I was very depressed, anxious, having all the horrible thoughts. And you grow up as an elite athlete, and I think just in the Caribbean, you feel like it's not okay to not be okay, in the sense of, it's always man up. You have a house, you have 2 legs, you have water. Like, what could you possibly be upset about? So for me, after the Olympics, I really wanted to tell people that, it's actually okay to not be okay. And you can go through struggles, you can be depressed and anxiety, but you can still overcome and accomplish great things. I think a lot of times people they almost become victims in their own mindset of like, I've struggled, so I can't do anything. But I want to show them, like, no, your circumstance doesn't define you, and you can use it to propel further in life. Yep.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's very inspirational.
Thank you. I try. And I like to use my personality, my relatability. Okay, can't speak that word right now. Of showing, I'm a very open book. I talk about mental health a lot, and I think it's important that people see that, she's all right. She went through it, but she's all right. And I think so many times we see these celebrities, whether it's like LeBron James, Tom Cruise, Serena Williams, and you think, what could they have possibly gone through? But I want to show them, they probably did go through something, but I'll be the one to speak about it.
Because, in our community, like, mental health is there's a big stigma surrounding that. But, like, I feel the more that we get into these topics and we share with our community that it's okay not to be okay, and like there are other people that you can relate to too, like our Miss Cayman.
Hey. I try. I think especially as a young woman that I show young girls, you might struggle with confidence, body issues, body dysmorphia, bullying, all of that. But the next day will always come. Life kind of moves forward. Whether it's time that heals, going to therapy that heals, you will move past it, and that's okay to have gone through something.
Another point to make too is that people need to realize, like, you can't just stay stuck in it. Like, you have to move through it to get through it.
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Isn't there a quote, something like, if you're going through hell, like, keep going, because why would you stay there?
Stay there.
I think that's a song lyric. If you're going through hell, don't... Oh, wait. No. Forget that. That was the wrong song.
Close enough.
That was completely the wrong song.
That's gonna be like the theme song for the Raegan Way. you just wrote your jingle. There you go.
No, wait, no, wrong song.
That's your jingle now. If you're going through hell.
Keep on going, don't slow down. It is
So speaking of going through hell, and keep on going. Like, was there ever a moment that during Miss Cayman that you felt like it was too much?
Miss Cayman was very hard because I am extremely self-critical and I'm very hard on myself. I think just growing up as a gymnast, your goal is always to get a perfect 10. So when it came to everything I did, I wanted it to always be a perfect 10. And pageantry was so new to me. I wasn't Miss Teen blessed so I never had that experience. And pageantry and Olympics, they're similar, but they are two completely different things. So I had to relearn a lot of stuff. And so for me, the hardest thing was comparing myself amongst the other contestants because I knew that Cayman is so small that I was getting compared. So it was maintaining grace for myself, staying in my own lane and not getting in my head. Yeah.
So during the actual competition now, you're on stage. Is it that it's so busy that you don't have time to be nervous, or are there actually moments before you, like behind the curtain, before you go out there, you're like, oh my God, just don't fall, don't fall.
The local one or
we'll get to
Mexico.
Yeah, we'll get to Mexico.
Because the answers are different for those. So when I was a gymnast, the thing that I regretted most about being a gymnast was that I was so nervous all the time. I worked myself up. I had too much adrenaline. But I think that worked out in Miss Cayman because I knew I did that. So I knew to calm myself down. I knew that I did better when I was having fun, when I was relaxed. So the whole time I was getting ready, my room was like a dance party. I had music blasting. I was singing. I was dancing because I knew if I relaxed, that's when I was going to do better. And I looked at Miss Cayman like a gymnastics competition. So the opening dance was floor, and I used floor exercise because you get out your turns, you get out your leaps, you get out your flips. But in that instance, you got out the walking, the turning, and you got out a practice of speaking, which I messed up, but I was like, no, that's completely fine. I'm not being judged right now. And then the next event was swimsuit, and I didn't realize actually how nervous I was for swimsuit until I felt the energy of the crowd, and my legs were shaking, but I was like, as long as I don't show that they're shaking, I'm okay. And I had practiced my routines thousands of times because as a gymnast, you're taught how you practice is how you compete. So every time I did something, I pictured myself in that auditorium or on that stage, so that it was just muscle memory at that point. So for me, swimsuit was kind of like I'll say bars. It was like, you're a little nervous, you can fall, but you can kind of save yourself. Gown was vault. You just got to get through. And then question was beam. It was, you're almost there. You're on the final step. Don't lose it now. Just get through, coast, and then you'll be okay.
So the beam was like
beam is the scariest event for
Is that like wearing heels?
Okay, so I would say maybe swimsuit was more like beam because it is wearing heels, and the swimsuit, you have all the intricate turns, you have the posing, you're trying to look the sexy fierce, but you're also trying to look like suck in, squeeze, this. You make sure your hair does this. Oh, this is wrong. Don't
roll an ankle.
Yeah, don't roll an ankle. Don't trip on the stage. So swimsuit, there was so much going through your mind. Whereas gown, it's just look pretty and elegant. So, and then the question, it's just speak. Just speak. You can do this. Just speak.
So at the very end of the show, when they're announcing the finalists and eventually the actual who the crown goes to, was there a moment where you kind of knew, or were you just always in your head like, dang, I don't know?
So I would say I was very strategic, and I think that again goes back to gymnastics. It's a numbers game. I think it was so even throughout. I didn't know if I was gonna win. I was very confident in myself, but the other girls brought it that night, and I think it was a very stiff competition. But then when it came to the question, I knew that was my strength. Was I knew what I did under adrenaline, so I knew how to calm it even in terms of speaking. So we have the headphones on, and I'm contestant 4, but because of the numbers, I was 3rd. And I was watching the shadows the entire time, and I remember seeing what contestant 1 did, Aaron, and I was like, okay. And I remember contestant 2, every person that was holding the headphones, when she finished speaking, was like,
so she was paying attention to them reaction.
I was like, oh. so now I got to follow up after this good question. But the whole time, I was like, well, she just took the show. But the whole time you have the headphones on, I can't remember what song was playing. I don't remember because I completely disassociated and I was just going through my topics because my strategy was no matter what question they asked, I wasn't going to be in the dark because I knew my opinion on education, on the political system here, political issues in the world, mental health, girl. Like, I had my strategy of how to answer the question. So for me, I didn't feel like I was in the dark at all because no matter what the question was, I could formulate an answer. So
you felt when you got your question that you nailed it. You were.
I was very confident in my answer.
I think you're one of the only ones who actually.
Did we when we did our post Miss Cayman show? I think it was said that she had like the best answer to the question. I'm pretty sure.
There, so you were one of them who.
My memory's terrible, but I'm pretty sure that was said.
I felt when I answered my question, I was so happy because at that point I said, Raegan, you did everything you could. I felt confident in my swimsuit. I felt confident in gown, and as soon as I ended with everyone deserves an, what did I say? Equal opportunity at excellent education. I wasn't actually done speaking, but everyone erupted, so I said,
all right, well, that's enough.
I was like, you guys didn't even give me a chance to say thank you. I had thank you at the end of that, but yeah, it was like a strategy I had in my head of, she said, what is your opinion? So automatically my brain goes to, okay, I have ADHD. Let me just put that out there. So my brain works very categorical, exactly, very strategic. So she said, what is your opinion? So I went, okay, we're here. It wasn't a who question, so I didn't have to think about people. She said education. I knew what my opinion on education was in Cayman. It was that we needed trade schools. And then when she said poverty and inequality, I said, well, if more people are educated, they can get more careers and therefore decreases poverty, and then everyone has an equal chance of getting an education and a job. So I try to kill 3 birds with 1 stone.
Hey, very economic.
There you go.
Yes, and then she repeats the question, and that's when you just kind of formulate your answer.
And then right after that, so I guess, did you feel like that kind of might have put you over the top a little bit there? I guess because you said the numbers game, right? So you're probably thinking, okay, we were even. I may have done a bit. I
felt that
edged out right there.
Yeah, I think my question definitely helped edge me out just because I knew I didn't ramble. I knew I answered the question and I gave a solution.
Yes.
A lot of times in pageantry, you can answer a question, you can give an opinion. But
what was that, Miss North Carolina?
Yeah, you see the videos on YouTube.
Have you seen that? Miss North Carolina answered the question.
What did she say? What is the question again? Where she just completely slaughters it.
Yeah, she rambles on about. I mean, she must have been nervous. She was on a different planet.
You just have to keep it short, sweet, and simple.
Yeah.
3 to 4 sentences, and you can answer a question. You answer the question. You give like 1 or 2 sentences to support, and then you close it off with like either an inspiring quote, motivation, call to action, or solution.
Dang, you got it to a science.
That's how you have to play the game.
Hey, she was trained up.
Something about playing the game. One thing with my role in the pageant world, you can't sleep on the athletes.
No.
Every time an athlete enters the pageantry, like Chloe was an athlete, she won. Ileana is an athlete, she won.
Georgina was an athlete too. She was a dancer.
On the dancer side,
yeah.
But a creative athlete.
Dancers are athletes. What are you talking? Ballerinas? Have you seen ballerinas, bro?
They are ripped. I can't hold my leg up. I'm like,
bro. They are athletes. They gotta be jumping and splitting and that's athleticism.
Your core strength.
Yeah.
Yes, we used to have to do ballet for gymnastics, and it was a punishment.
But so the hardest thing now, out of all of that stuff, how'd you practice your royal wave?
Oh, okay. This is funny. So, I got heat stroke on the Friday, which was the last practice at King's, and because it was hot. It was hot in August, and I got heat stroke. And yeah, it was not fun at all. Anyways, and so I missed that practice, which was like one of the only practices I ever missed. And that was when they practiced what you do if you win. So then at rehearsals, we're at the Westin.
The most important thing. What do I do if I win?
I was like, well, we're just gonna see what happens.
We'll wing it.
So this is funny. Is at the Westin, it was like the 3rd night of rehearsal. They're like, okay, we're gonna practice the awards. And they were like, Raegan, where do you go if you get 2nd runner-up? And I'm like, I don't know. They're like, what do you mean you don't know? I said,
because I'm not getting 2nd.
I don't want to get 2nd runner-up. And they all laughed, and I was straight-faced, and I was like, I'm serious. I don't want 2nd runner-up.
Mama mentality right there.
Well, I was like, I'm only going to practice what I want to get. But they were laughing, and the other contestants were kind of laughing. I was like, Haha, I'm serious. So they're like, okay, you walk on this side. I was like, sorry guys, I actually wasn't here. That's when I had heat stroke. But then when I won, I didn't know what to do because I never practiced what to do when you win. So I looked at Mariah, and I think you can see me, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I never practiced this. She's like, this is when you walk. I was like, okay.
Okay, yeah.
And then I was like, okay, yeah, we're waving. And then he was like singing, dancing to My Cayman and Girl. And I was like, at this point, I already won. So I just started dancing.
Yeah,
I was like, what are you going to do? Take this away that I just won? I was like, this is my moment. I'm going to enjoy it and do whatever I want.
That guy goes to my gym. The guy that was singing
Gerald Dacre?
Yeah. I keep forgetting his name there. Yeah.
But I guess they never saw the Olympian tattoo on your arm. Like, you didn't...
You didn't come to play.
You don't come to play?
No, not at all. But the thing is, I've come to have fun, but I know how to work and have fun at the same time. It's a competition, and you have to have that athlete mindset of how you practice is how you compete. You have to put your best foot forward. It's making the sacrifices. It's being concentrated, knowing what your body does under pressure. And I think maybe that's why the athletes do so well, is because there's just a different drive to athletes, I would say. And I think a lot of people have this drive, but athletes know how to tap into it more.
So you feel that like all that training during your gymnastics career, I guess it's grueling hours, stiff competition, high pressure situations, you felt like that gave you a bit more of a calming preparedness to being on stage and getting ready?
I would think so. And I think even at Miss Universe, it helped me a lot. I mean, the other contestants had a lot of experience, even in Miss Cayman as models. So they knew how to do the walk. They knew how to do the posing and everything. But I think what being an athlete helped me is I knew what it meant to represent Cayman, and that's the biggest thing, is learning how to represent something bigger than yourself. So there's more of a motivation to be able to have that title of, I get to be Miss Cayman. It's not anyone else. You know, for gymnastics, I was the only Olympian. So for me, it was, okay, I want to be the only Miss Cayman.
Oh, so let's talk about some Mexico.
Yeah.
What was training for Mexico like?
Training.
And how soon after your crowning did you actually start training for it?
Yeah. So as soon as I won, I said, okay, do I start on Monday? Because for me, I was like, okay, we just did step 1. We got to get to step 2, 3, 4, and 5. And they were like, no, you get a week off. And I said, okay, but I don't want a week off. I'm on my high now. Let's go. So training for Mexico was, I would do runway practice with Mariah Tibbetts on Monday. Tuesday, I did runway and public speaking with Sophie Connolly at Centerpoint. Wednesday was public speaking with Miss Laura. She helped me with the more worldly questions because you're at Miss Universe, you're not Miss Cayman, and you need to know about everything and anyone and at once. And then Thursday morning was back with Sophie at Centerpoint. Then Thursday evening, I would meet with Mariah to go over the logistics of Miss Universe, the forms, how to act while you're there. She would kind of run me through how rehearsals will probably work, just kind of giving me a heads up of how everything was going to go down. And then Friday, I don't know if I did anything on Friday. But and on top of all of that, it's getting the Voice for Change video situated, getting the CSR video situated, getting all the media put together, the forms, which was like 30 essay questions, and then you want to make it all good because you want to stand out. So the preparing for Miss Universe was extremely intense.
Do you think that there was anything you would have done differently to prepare ahead of going for the pageant?
I kind of wish I had more time sometimes because it is very rushed and you're on this high of winning Miss Cayman, and then you got to gear your focus, and it's difficult getting the national costume together, all the gowns, all the wardrobe, and living in Cayman, you have to get it all in or you have to go out. There was like one weekend my mom and I went to Miami to go pick up my wardrobe, so I kind of wish I had more time just because it is so rushed, on top of getting the videos put together, because other countries, for example, like Miss France was crowned last night. Miss Venezuela was crowned a week ago, so they have the whole year.
To prepare.
Yeah, so some countries do it like Cayman, like US, Australia, like a lot of the big countries do it like Cayman does, but also a lot of big countries do it the reverse of, let's give the girl the whole year.
To train.
Yeah.
And I think there's definitely pros and cons of both.
So they enter Miss Universe at the end of their reign, pretty much?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they have the whole year, which I think is great because you get the hype built up for so long. You have the whole year to prepare, get the whole resume building of, I did this, I built this school, I did this program. But also, you might get burnt out.
True.
Do you feel so? Do you feel? I mean, what would be your preference, to leave it the way that we do it now, or do you feel like it would have been better maybe moving forward for future winners to have that full year?
I think the full year would be nice, but I also think maybe 6 months is also good because, like I said, the burnout.
Right.
But it is. I was kind of telling someone about this. It's like, okay, your gymnastics career, you train your entire life to get to the top, which is Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And Miss Universe, you're supposed to train like your whole pageant life to get to Miss Universe. So it kind of makes sense for it to be at the end because now it's like, okay, I'm in the community, whereas before it was kind of fun because that's a community. Oh, but I have Miss Universe coming up. So I see the pros and cons because, again, you don't want to get burnt out. Maybe it works that it's so soon. A lot of countries do it like us. So I think there's a method to it, but I think the year or even a few more months would be nice.
Had you ever been to Mexico before?
I had never been to Mexico.
So what were some, well, I guess you didn't actually get to do much sightseeing, did you?
No.
It was all game time when you got there?
Yeah, some girls got to do excursions. I think in previous years, a lot more were able to go on excursions, but this year it was very selective.
So wait, what?
Yeah.
So how do they select you to go on excursions?
I'm not exactly sure.
Oh, okay.
I just go with the
Fair.
flow.
Oh, dear.
And I was excited. But
So when you got to Mexico, what was that whole experience like
Oh.
going up to the actual main event?
it was insane. I was telling Keisha offset of like, if you had told 18-year-old Raegan she was going to go through all of that experience, everything, I think I would have looked at you like you had three eyes. It's so intense. And I think it's so weird that I'm like, oh, pageant was intense. But it was very hard. And it's long hours. It's like 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. and you repeat until the day you leave
4 a.m.
Mexico.
to 11 p.m.?
Yeah. It was
Jeez.
long days. And you always have to be prim and proper all the time, smiling, which is great because I think it's important to learn how to extend your social battery, how to always be poised. But I think it's a lot harder than people actually realize. Mm-hmm. Just
So
everything.
What was a normal day in the life in Mexico kind of for you? Like when you woke up and then from, going through the day?
It's kind of hard to say that because there's different phases. You have the registration and fittings, you have the photo shoot days, some days you had interviews, and then there was rehearsals. But like, for example, you'd get up at 4 to get ready to have breakfast at 6. Then you'd go in the bus, either go to the convention center or rehearsals, be there all day. Sometimes they would take us out for dinner. Sometimes dinner was just at the hotel, but you were always on the go. Always on, always ready. And you always had to be ready for anything. So whether that meant bringing an extra pair of shoes, bringing a full face of makeup everywhere. I would carry literally my makeup bag with me everywhere just in case they were like, oh, no, you're having a photo shoot. So that I could change it if needed be. It was bringing extra
So it would just be impromptu like that?
Yeah, a lot of things were impromptu because they want to see if you can adapt quickly.
Oh.
Dang.
So I would even bring dresses in my bag just in case rehearsals they said you're going to a nice dinner, which sometimes happens.
Mm-hmm.
So you always wanted to be ready. You always wanted to be a step ahead rather than a step behind.
That's a good quote right there.
Thank you. Can you start writing these down?
Yeah, I should.
So, go ahead, Phil.
You had said on radio that because Cayman is a smaller country compared to like France or Venezuela, that you don't really get the limelight of the paparazzi, but that didn't stop you from representing Cayman. Could you give us behind the scenes on that?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously a lot of big countries have bigger fan bases. It's just how it is. It's
Population.
pageantry. It's like if you go to FIFA World Cup, people are going to look at Brazil, Germany, England. They're going to look at the big countries. That's just inevitable. I think I was a bit taken back because at the Olympics, it was still so much, but it was kind of like maybe a little more even, whereas at pageantry, it's like Mexico, Venezuela. But those girls have so much pressure put on them because they carry so much.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, give me that chance to feel that pressure. Give me that chance to rise to the occasion. So the first couple of days, you walk and it's like Cayman Islands. And then after a while, I was like, oh, I see how this works. You got to go up to them.
Strategy.
Don't mind me. I always say social anxiety is scared of me. So I'd go up to them and I was like, hi, how are you guys? Oh my gosh, gosh, how are you doing? And they were like, oh, tell us about yourself. And I was like, I'm from the Cayman Islands. I'm an Olympian. I'm the first ever Olympic gymnast at Miss Universe. I'm a mental health advocate. Like, you start getting your elevator pitch fast. So then by day 3, it was like, Islas Cayman. And I was like, your girl is here. Anytime a photographer was there or a videographer, I said, do you need someone? Do you need me? And sometimes they'd say no. And I was like, okay. Are you sure? But I didn't want to come back home and be like, dang, I should have gone up to that person. Oh, I should have made the opportunity, because you're not there to represent Raegan Rutty. No one cares who Raegan Rutty is. They want to know who Cayman Islands is. So I made sure that Cayman was noticed any way possible, whether it was even getting in the middle of a group shot, because pageant pages will crop. You not cropping Cayman Islands. I have no picture. You're not getting that opportunity. So it really did push me outside my comfort zone. I actually have a really funny story because it's sometimes really frustrating, because you want to do good for your country, and at first I thought the opportunities would come to me, but by day 2 you learn you need to go make the opportunities. So this was, I will never forget, it was day 11 of registration and fittings, and I saw
Day 11.
Day 11.
You got it down.
She knew. It was that you didn't know whether it was Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. It was day 7, day 13. It was days. Exactly. So I don't even know what day I competed, honestly. But anyways, I saw this lady, and I knew she was on the social media team for Miss Universe. And I was walking around, and I could tell she was looking for someone. And I loved my outfit that day. My hair was good. My makeup was on. And I said, this is not going to waste. And I said, excuse me, do you need someone to video? And she was like, no, I'm looking for this person's Instagram. I was like, oh, let me help you out. Because I was like, I could still be a little Cayman kind. So I was like, you can look for our Instagram through the app. So I showed her the Miss Universe app, and I'm swiping, and I passed me, and I'm like, that's me, by the way. This is Cayman Islands. And she's like, I know who you are. You're the Olympic gymnast. I was like, oh, so you know me. Anyway, so I give her the Instagram, and I reiterated, I was like, if you ever need anyone to video and a picture, you can always find me. I will always be down. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, here you go. And she handed me her phone. And I said, Lord, I have one shot to make this right for my country. Do good. I was like, well, what do you want me to do? She's like, take a video. You said you can do it. Let's see you do it.
Do a flip.
And I was like, great. She put me on the spot. And I whip up my phone, and I said, hello, universe. This is Raegan Rutty, your Miss Universe Cayman Islands. We are at day 11 of registration and fittings. Make sure to stay tuned to the Miss Universe Instagram to stay up to date with what us delegates are doing. And I said, here you go.
Dang, can we clap that?
Try. And I sat down, and I was like, I'm never going to see that video. And I feel my phone buzz, and I look, and it was Miss Universe mentioned you in a story, and I said, you go, girl. You go, girl.
Well,
So cool.
you must have impressed her.
Well, funny you say that.
Because she called you out.
I
She was
called her
like,
bluff.
she was like, oh, this girl's full of it.
Right after
Whatever.
interviews, I got pulled to the side, and they were like, we need you to do a promo thing. And I was like, all right, sure. And I go, and they were like, we need you to say this. You could just say whatever, just promote this hair product. And I said it first try again. And the videographer was like, wow, you're really good at this. And it was the same lady. She goes, I know she's good at it. That's why I chose her.
What?
So it was from me putting my country out there, saying Cayman Islands is always down to do a video, showing her that I can do it first take. That little
segue
completely opened up doors.
Wow.
So it really showed me that the loud mouth gets fed. Or whatever the saying is that I still can't figure out.
Man.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Closed mouths
Don't get fed.
When it's open mouth, gonna get fed.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease?
Yeah.
Could you speak about what it's like representing Cayman? Because you are one person. How do you represent a country in Tokyo and in Mexico?
Yeah, so I have been blessed to have the opportunity to represent Cayman since I was 12 years old. That's when I was put on national team for Cayman. So I remember when you get put on, they tell you you can't post these kind of things on social media. This is how you need to carry yourself. So from a very early age, I recognized the importance of this role. And I think for me, it was heightened coming from East End. I think people think, she's just so cliche, but I love my district. And a lot of success stories in Cayman don't come from East End. So for me, it was, not only am I doing this for me, I'm doing this for my country, but I'm doing this for the kids of East End and for the men and women all around the country. Representing Cayman is the biggest honor I think I will ever have in the world. I remember every opening ceremony, seeing my flag wave in the stadium lights, and it just fills you with a different sense of pride because you knew what it took to get there. You knew the hardships that no one knows about. And you don't do it for yourself, but you do it for your country. Everything I went through, I pushed through so that I could represent Cayman further. And so saluting when you see CAY at the Olympic Games or screaming Cayman Islands at Miss Universe, it's just, I don't know if a feeling will top that.
So when you were in Mexico now, that's I guess showtime, right?
Yes.
The night of. You know, I guess what was the experience like with the girls? What was the experience like, you know, behind the stage? Was it chaos? Was it calm?
It was so chaotic.
Oh, okay.
Because that's a live show. So for them, it's more, Miss Cayman was still very, honestly, a little chaotic, but not too much. But Miss Universe, they have a schedule. And if you miss your call, like how you were saying earlier, you're done for. So
wow, they will move on without you instantly.
And they tried. So I'll tell you this.
Ooh.
So he sat up. So well, they didn't try, but it's just their live show. It's what they have to do. So prelims, you're so exhausted at prelims that you're just trying to get through
it.
And I got told the day before, you Cayman Islands need to bring a special dress because you have something else you're doing. And I knew that was a voice for a change because I made top 3. So I knew that I was gonna get called at some point. And so you do national costume, then you quickly change in a swimsuit, you do the swimsuit, and then we, the 10, had to change into an extra dress for Voice for Change. So we never practiced this. So we walk out, we get our award, Cayman Islands. I was so proud because that meant mental health got a special light. You know, suicide awareness was talked about a lot. So for me, that award meant more than anything I could have possibly gotten at Miss Universe. And as soon as we were walking off, we're all happy. They say, and now welcome the girls for gown. And we're like, we are not in our gowns. And we are not ready for gown. And my gown was very intricate because it had a lace back and you had to lace it yourself. So we are panicked. The 10 of us are panicked trying to get our stuff on. Aruba missed her call because she was in the first group. Cambodia missed her call because she was in the second group, and Cayman was in the fourth group. And that sounds like a lot, but that's only like 15 seconds per group. And my dress wasn't even done, and they're like, Cayman, you missed your call. And I looked at her and I said, no, I didn't. And all of the girls were walked. I said, listen, I worked too hard to this. You're not taking this opportunity away from my country. And there was 6 of us, 5 were out there. Cayman was not. I was late, and I was like, I can't do this. I need to go out there. They're like, you missed your call. I said, I did not. And I walked my little self out there by myself. We were all.
They didn't even call your name. You just walked out.
Well, they don't call until you're lined up. But all 5 were waiting there. And I had my little special moment because Cayman Islands got to walk out all by herself. And I said, I am not letting this ruin me. I just strutted. I didn't show it on my face. That's going back to the Olympian gymnast. You fall, you got to get back up and act like nothing happened. I posed. They said, I think they went Cambodia, Canada, Cayman Islands, and I was there. And I said, you can check me out because I was not going to let them not grade me on my gown. So I had my little special moment.
Wow.
And then afterwards, they were like, Cayman Islands, we have so much respect for you. I was like, yeah, you do. They were like, you saved our show. I was like, you're welcome. Anytime. I'll be here. Just call me top 30. I'll be here. But the funny thing is, by the end of like the second week, they didn't even know me as Cayman Islands. They knew me by my first name because I wanted to have that personal connection with each and every person. Because I think a lot of times girls just go, they leave, go and leave. But for me, I wanted to them experience that Cayman kindness, to show that personality, to show that outgoingness. So by the end, they didn't even know me as Cayman. They knew me as my name.
That's what separates us.
So what was the hardest part that night? Was it just the constant chaos, or was it actually like being on stage?
Of Miss Universe in total, or just the competing?
No, Miss Universe. Yeah.
For me, the thing that I think I struggled with the most was comparison, because it's so easy to get in your head at Miss Universe, especially when you see all these countries getting their big limelight. They're getting called for things, and you just want so badly to have that opportunity. And these girls, I was like, yeah, they're beautiful. You see them in person, oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever seen such beautiful women. Their legs, their hair, they are absolutely perfect. And they're smart. They're educated. Some are like speaking 4 languages. They've done all these great things, mothers, survivors. So for me, it was very easy to be like, oh, and here I am. Hey guys, what's up? Hey. But I remembered telling myself, you deserve to be here just as much as they do. Just because they are coming from a big country doesn't mean that you didn't win your pageant. Just because it's smaller doesn't mean that you didn't win your pageant. And I would remind myself when I was feeling down, they might be beautiful, they might have done all these things. I was the only Olympian, and that was what helped me because I had a different mindset, been through different things than they had. I had something different to offer to the table.
You probably went through the toughest Olympics that anybody will ever have to go through, probably for the rest of, well, I shouldn't say the rest of history, but at least the rest of our lives.
It was
Lifetime.
the 2020
It was
Olympics.
2020.
Well, 2021 Olympics.
Yeah, 2020 parentheses 1.
Yeah, because no one was allowed to be there.
No. Yeah.
So what was like? Well, I guess the first question I wanted to really know was it a little heartbreaking to know that you know, putting in all those years of work, and this is a kind of like your one shot of going to the Olympics, and well, I guess it's nice that you probably thought you couldn't go.
Yeah.
When 2020 happened during the lockdowns, you probably thought I'm never gonna go. And then 2021 happened, you can go, but no one can actually be in attendance.
It was a crazy whirlwind because gymnastics is such a time-sensitive sport because your body gets old, your joints hurt, you face injuries, just life happens. So gymnastics, you plan out 4 years in advance. So you tick all these ladders off. It's like, okay, I went to Pan Am Championships. Now I'm going to go to Central American and Caribbean Games. Now I qualified to Worlds. Now I qualified to Pan Ams. So it's like a ladder you climb. And I remember in February 2020, they canceled one of my gymnastics meets because of this thing, COVID. And I was so confused. I was like, what? I've had the flu. Like, hello, I still want to compete. And they canceled it. Well, first they moved it. Then they moved it again. And then they canceled. And it was like, oh, this thing is getting serious because it's February. It's just, you've kind of heard of COVID. You don't really know what's happening.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, they canceled it. And now it's March. And now I've come back here. And now I'm stuck
Shutting
here.
down airports.
Yep. What happened
Shutting
is
down everything.
my parents had a suspicion that they were going to close the airport down. So they flew all of us kids home. And they said, if we get locked down, we want you here with us. And that halted my gymnastics career because I was training. I'm training for the Olympics. It's 2020. And I come here. And I don't know if you can see, but there are no bars and beam around here. I can flip a handstand, maybe. I can do a handstand here and there, but
You can practice some flips off the dock into the water.
Well, it's fine. I would literally do like little flips in the pool just to keep that air awareness. But it completely changed the game. And in a weird sense, everyone was on an equal playing field because everyone was closed down. No one was doing gymnastics. So it's almost as if everyone started over from zero. And then I went to college. And then I had to train all throughout my freshman year, which that wasn't what I was planning to do. I was planning to do
So you had to study, go to class,
study.
and train.
Yeah, train. And then, you know, it's still COVID. You still don't know if these gymnastics competitions are going to happen. I'm in, you know, my freshman year of college trying to figure out what university is and everything. And then in April, I was training at this gym in Florida, and they said, we can't send the coach that you've been training with. So I said, what do you mean? I can't go to a gymnastics meet by myself. And they're like, we don't know what to tell you. So then I moved back to Texas.
So you didn't have your coach?
I moved back to Texas to train with my original coaches so that I had someone that could go with me to Pan Am Championships. So it was so stressful. I don't think I've ever been more stressed in my entire life because you have so much pressure building up, and I was the last spot to be delegated.
Do you feel that gap here between 2020 and 2021, did you lose any form or did you gain?
It's kind of hard to say because not only did I gain this year, but I moved gyms. I was at university trying to figure all of that stuff out, how to go to classes, how to figure out what I want to do with my life. So I don't know if I even have a great answer to that because I think there were so many other factors than just time. You know, if I stayed with my previous coaches, would I have been at a different place? If I stayed with my coaches, would I have been as mentally healthy as I was? Yeah. So I think there's just a lot of factors that kind of went into that year. So
2021 happens. You find out only athletes and supporting staff of the athletes are allowed to travel to Tokyo. Is that a bit heartbreaking?
Very heartbreaking because whenever I pictured going to the Olympics, I imagined my entire family, all of Cayman being there. So for me, that was really hard because I also played off of audience. Like I liked that morale, I liked the crowd, and knowing that I worked 15 years and no one was going to be able to watch that in person, it did break my heart. Even my mom, who had traveled with me to every meet because I call her my momager, she helped with like the paperwork, making sure my floor music was there. She kind of did some of the behind the scenes work. that I needed her to do. But she was able to finagle it that she could go. So I at least had my mom. But I remember the Olympic Games was the most relaxed competition I'd ever been to.
Really?
Because it was dead quiet.
Was it weird though? Like, so like you could pretty much hear every step you take,
Every step,
every tumble, every drop.
Yeah, it was so quiet, which is weird because it's supposed to be this big hyped up thing.
Yeah.
Nothing. You maybe got like one applaud. It was weird. Even opening ceremonies, they had an applause on the speaker so that we still felt like we were walking into something. But no one was there.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. When I was watching the 100-meter, 200-meter finals, it felt weird. It was just like, just you see all these guys running around, it's just like emptiness.
It was very strange.
So like, so that's really kind of like, it's just you yourself in your head. Like you have to. You don't have any support from the crowd, nothing. It's just
and I think that's
mental toughness.
Exactly. And a lot of people talked about this on like Twitter and gymnastics medias. I was definitely not the best. I never claimed to be the best in the world at all, but I was the best for my country. But they said that they just loved me because they could tell I was having a great time. I was smiling and I was falling. The Olympics was also the gymnastics meet I was the most injured for. I was in so much pain. You see my ankles taped up. I never went to the doctor, but I think I like broke my ankle or tore something a week before I left. So my ankle was literally black and blue in Tokyo. But I knew that this was once a lifetime opportunity. I was not going to let any injury, mishap, negativity, anything take this moment away.
Was that kind of your worst performance because of the injuries?
I don't even know if it was the worst. It just wasn't my best.
Yeah.
Injuries was a big thing because when you're injured in gymnastics, you can't prepare as much as you want. Everything feels differently, whether subconsciously or consciously. You kind of change things to protect your body.
It's a grueling sport on the body.
It is such a grueling sport on the body. I had a lot of injuries.
Oh man,
it's crazy because you watch gymnastics and it's just so graceful.
Yeah.
And everything, but such a completely different world underneath it.
It is a very different world behind this.
What was training like all those years and stuff? How hard? Like, just to give us an idea of actually how hard is it to be training as a gymnast, and how many hours are you putting in a day?
I trained about 7.5 hours a day. So I would wake up, and I'd have gym until like 8 to 12, and then 8 to 12, and then 1:30, sometimes 1 to 4, 4:30. It just kind of depended on the coach's mood. But it was very tough. My coach, she was actually known in the gymnastics world for how hard she was. We weren't allowed to sit, weren't allowed to talk.
You couldn't talk during training?
We weren't supposed to. I talked.
And you couldn't and you couldn't sit?
Oh no, you weren't allowed to sit at all.
What?
You gotta keep your body
discipline or something?
It was discipline. It was so hard, and yeah, she was a lot. She was abusive, and mentally, verbally, even physically, like the things that we would have to do. So gymnastics was, I always say, will probably be the hardest thing I ever do.
When you say abusive, is this like the tough love we hear about? Or is that something else?
You want to think it's tough love, but then as you get older and you kind of mature, you realize this is not what's supposed to be happening. Like, I remember...
At the time, you thought it was normal.
You kind of knew it wasn't supposed to be normal, but you just kind of go with it because you want to be good and you have an Olympic dream. I knew I would not quit unless I faced a career-ending injury. Other than that, I quit after the Olympic Games. So no matter what I went through, I was just going to suck it up. But even us, the girls I trained with, we kind of talk about you don't realize how bad it is until you leave. And on top of that, I was away from home, living with host families, doing online school. So there was just a lot that was always on me. But she was just like would mess with our heads a lot. Like, you would cry because you were hurt, and you would push until you literally couldn't do any more, and you would cry. And then she would say, "Why are you crying? Blah blah blah." Like, what's going on? Like scream. And then you'd say, "I'm injured," and she would say, "Well, you need to tell me." Blah blah blah. Like, "Why aren't you telling me? I can't read your mind." And so you're like, "Whoa, I'm getting yelled at." Okay. So the next day it hurts, and you tell her, and she's like, "Just go do what you want." And she'd give you the silent treatment. So then it was like, okay, so the next time I hurt, I'm just going to hold it in, and then you'd get yelled at, and the next time it was silent treatment. So it was like you never knew what coach you were going to get, and that's mentally exhausting on top of all the physical exhaustion of gymnastics.
How many athletes are training in this gym?
In my group, I want to say there was maybe like 8.
Okay.
So we had different groups like on ages and levels, and like we would have to.
And all of you are training these hours every day?
The younger girls didn't train as much, obviously, but my group trained most.
Wow.
Like we would have to hold splits, like over splits, like front leg up and back leg up. Front leg up. I remember one time I watched the clock and we weren't allowed to come out 22 minutes.
Holding the splits.
Holding the splits.
Jeez, what?
Yeah. And there were sometimes like she would like purposely forget about me. She'd be like, oh, sorry, Raegan, you can come out now. And I was like, or sometimes I would do based off of songs.
Okay, this is beyond abusive.
I would do it based off of songs. I was like, okay, I've been in here for 4 songs now. And every time you'd like wince or come out, she'd just add time. Or I told my mom this like a couple months ago, and she's like, you never told me that. There was like this girl who was afraid to do this skill on floor. And she didn't want to do it. And she was like, okay, the coach was like, you all are going to do 10 mat pushes because she doesn't want to do this skill.
So she punished the class for it?
So we got punished because the girl didn't want to do it, but the girl didn't have to do the pushes. So it was like these weighted mats, and we had to push it 10 back and forth. And I was like, what's happening? And she was like, she doesn't want to do it, so make sure you make a wincing face so that she feels worse.
My goodness.
Like, what? She was like, make a face so that she feels guilty. I was like, I'm not doing that. And I walked. I was like, no.
So how many years were you training in this gym?
From 14 till 19.
Oh wow! So you all of your teenagers. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it was very hard, and like I said, sometimes you don't realize how bad it is until you get out. And like I'll do things nowadays, and I realize, oh, that's because of that. Like for example, I remember COVID was obviously my freshman year at university, and my second year we finally got to go in person. And I remember talking to my mom. I was like, Mom, I'm so scared I'm gonna get yelled at. And she's like, why? And I was like, because like people yell. And she's like, normal adults do not yell at children. And I was like, oh.
Normal adults.
There you go, Angel. She spit some facts. I was like, okay, so I'm not going to get yelled at. And she's like, no.
Oh, man.
So, like, people pleasing, all of that, it's just like an extreme because I'm always like on edge of, oh, is someone going to snap at me? Is someone going to be mad? Or even like working out, for example, if I do personal training and it's a timer, I like to know every 10 seconds that I know that I'm not going to be stuck in there.
So when did you know you wanted to be, I guess, serious about gymnastics? I guess, was it like, were you watching an Olympics when you were a kid and you saw, I don't know, who would have been your, like, I guess, Olympian kind of hero or something of that nature?
So, little Raegan was very stubborn. And when she said she was going to do something, not only was she going to do it, but she was going to do it 5 times great. So when I was, this was 2008. So I was 6 years old. I was watching Shawn Johnson compete at the 2008 Olympic Games. And I watched her do a gymnastics skill. And I thought, I could do that. And so I made it from that day forward that I was going to go to the Olympics. And I didn't realize it, but I was manifesting from a very early age. I would have like a little email for Build-A-Bear, and I would sign it, Raegan from future Olympic gymnast. Oh, wow. And I would sign things and sign as future Olympic gymnast. And like Carly Patterson was another gymnast. She put a heart in her signature, so I put a heart in my signature. If an Olympic gymnast something, I did it because if they went to the Olympics and they did it, that means I could too. I literally would sign things as future Cayman Islands first ever Olympic gymnast. And I was like 10 years old. I had no idea what was happening.
You remind me of, what's that kid from West Bay? Who's the future premier to Cayman Islands?
Yeah, future politician.
Big him up. I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart right now.
His Instagram, I think, is future politician or whatever.
Yeah, but he says he's going to be the next premier of the Cayman. He's manifesting that from an early age.
But that's, if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to do it. And I think it's not that I was jinxing, but I just always said, I'm going to the Olympics. And anytime someone told me no, I'd tell them, watch me. You can watch me on 2020. When you turn on your TV, I'll be there. But see, that's the thing is, I had said all the stuff that I made sure to follow through because I was like, well, I did all of this. I said all of this. Now I've been talking the talk. I better walk this walk. So I made sure anytime I wanted to quit, anytime I wanted to give up, I told myself, you will regret it when 2020 comes and you're not on that stage. So
Dang.
Yeah, you got to keep the promises
Exactly.
you make to yourself.
What year was it? 2019. Then you would found out we had been traveling to the Olympics.
I found out 2 weeks before I had to leave. I was the last. I was the very last spot given. But the thing is, you train like you're going. Like my coach and I sat down, and he was like, "Listen, you are going to the Olympics." Like he was like, I loved him. So it was I had a man and a woman. And I absolutely loved this man. I talked to him like once a week still because he coached me not just as a gymnast, but as a person. And he was like, "Listen, Raegan, we don't know, but we're training like you are so that when they call you, you're ready." So we trained, did the routines and everything like I was going so that I was prepared when I got the call.
See that? You got to stay ready.
What about Gabby Douglas?
I've never met Gabby Douglas. I've always wanted to meet Gabby Douglas.
And
I've never met Suni Lee. And okay, I have this weird inkling that Suni Lee and I would be such good friends.
Yeah.
Because she has like the same vibe. I bought the lip liner she talks about. We just are very similar in our like essence and vibes. I feel like we would get along.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So after 2020 Olympics, I guess you finished university at that point in time?
Yeah, so after 2020, I had an identity crisis because I was like, what do I do now? Because you train so long, gymnastics is your entire life, that you go through like the whole imposter syndrome. And I actually, after the Olympics, like it took me a year.
Can I stick one small pin?
Yeah.
Just about gymnastics on a whole, right? Because your prime years of the gymnast are your like teens, right?
Yes.
And then when you turn 20, you're like considered like old almost.
Yeah. But it's changing now because even like Simone Biles is 28, I believe.
Yeah.
Suni is my age. She's 22. But even if you look at the other countries, the age of gymnastics is getting older, which I think is a great thing because it shows people that age is just a number. But when it's your time to be done, it's just your time to be done. I knew after the Olympics I wanted to be done.
Okay, you were over all the training. You completed the goal.
Yeah, I wanted to start a new chapter of my life to find out who Raegan Rutty was without gymnastics.
So your identity crisis hit.
Interesting.
And
the identity crisis hit bad.
And then, so what were your steps for that?
I just went day by day finding things that gave me purpose and everything because I felt like my only gift in life, my only purpose was that I could do a backflip or was that I could do a routine. But I had to figure out there was more things that I could offer to this world. There was more things that people could expect from me. So I kind of geared my focus into other things like academic validation. I realized how much I loved acing a test. Because when I was a gymnast, I was online school. Like you submit it, you press button, okay, automatic validation. But I forgot what it felt like to study so hard and then go into an exam all nervous and walk up and be like, yes, I aced that. So for me, it was finding the different avenues of what can I offer to this world, but also what can I offer to myself. I tried out for UF cheerleading because that was my other dream. I wanted to be a UF cheerleader, and I didn't get it. And I kind of realized, oh, I'm okay, actually. I was really upset, but it made me realize I have to be okay with who Raegan Rutty is before I can represent something bigger than myself again. I was always Raegan Rutty, the Olympic gymnast, Raegan Rutty, the gymnast, Raegan Rutty. I wanted to be the next Raegan Rutty UF cheerleader, but I had to realize who Raegan Rutty was, period.
Do you feel like you missed out on any of your childhood because you were training so much?
So
that's a good question.
I definitely missed out a lot in my childhood, but
you had a dream. You had to chase it, right?
They went to the Olympics. No, I traveled to every continent besides Antarctica competing in gymnastics. So I represented Cayman in every continent besides Antarctica.
Well done.
So thank you. So for me, I missed out on birthday parties. I missed out going out, going to nightclubs, going to bars, but nothing beats the feeling of saluting and representing your country. And that sounds so cliche, but it's worth missing everything to have that opportunity.
So you're in university. You don't get into the cheerleading squad. So what do you do next?
It's so funny. But it was
what's left?
Well, see, my thing was after the Olympics, I realized, like, shoot, if I have a dream, just try.
Right.
Because I realized, like, it's better failing than living with regrets. What is it? Fear kills more dreams than failure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I wasn't going to let fear crush my dream. Yeah, I failed, but okay, I realized life moves on. If you mess up, life moves on. If you fail, life moves on. And I think that was something important that at 20 that I really needed to learn to share with other people. So then I just kind of became a regular college student and I loved it. I coached gymnastics. That was another thing I had to offer was I coached gymnastics, but I was able to have a normal life for once and I thought it was so much fun.
Nice.
I would hang out with friends. I would go to the grocery store.
So
I would cook.
speaking of coaching gymnastics, do you envision yourself doing any of that here on island?
I would love to, because I always say that I don't want gymnastics, or especially Olympic gymnastics in Cayman, to end with me. I always want someone to come up after me that's better. I was not the best gymnast. I know that. I was best that Cayman had at the time, but times are changing, and I really want someone to come up and beat all my records.
The next generation.
I want someone to beat my records. Please beat my records. Which I think it takes a lot for someone to say, but I realize I'm not the best, and I want someone better than me to come up and represent.
You always want the
Cayman.
next generation to be better than you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, you have to give people something to strive towards beating.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I think I opened the door, and I think it's time that you flood the gates.
Yes.
Let's go.
Love that.
Would you think about opening a studio? I don't know what you call it. What would you call it?
A
Is it a
gymnastics
studio? Yeah. Okay.
I would love to.
Yeah.
It's so funny because he doesn't like when I talk about him, but my boyfriend actually does gymnastics as well.
Okay.
So I'm always like, let's come home and open a gym. And he's like, okay. So maybe we'll see a Rutty School of Gymnastics, Cayman Islands National Training Center. Because for me, a big issue that I have with Cayman is that kids feel like they have to leave if they want to represent. They feel like they have to leave if they want to strive. They feel like they have to leave if they want to reach their potential. And I don't think a child should have to leave their home at 14 to achieve a dream. I think they should be able to do it on their home soil.
You should homegrown. You know, given the opportunity to do it here.
I think they should. I don't think there's an excuse why we can't.
You feel like that would be something you would want to work towards next?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe in like 10 years. Give me 10 years.
Yeah.
But I would love to have my own
You're still
gym.
very young. I mean,
I sometimes forget I'm 22. I'm like, I need to do this next month. I need to do this in 6 years. Where's my vision board? I need another vision board. But sometimes, I remember I looked at Derry Lee, my national director, and we were just talking. I said, Miss Derry, I think I need a break. She's like, yeah, Raegan, you're only 22. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm already 22. I still got a lot I want to do. There's time. Listen, you're not promised tomorrow. Got to make the most of this beautiful day we have.
And it is a gorgeous day.
It
my
is
goodness.
a gorgeous day.
Sadly, it's a marine park out here. You can't go get no concrete out here. I was like,
Just go over
Oh,
there.
oh,
I can't remember where the line
over
is.
down
It's
that.
somewhere
You
over
gotta
there.
pull up the map.
Exactly. Hey, we use the map. We use the map all the time.
Listen, I used to go get concrete at my mother's house. She lives further, close to Morts.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Up in East End, and I was pretty much all my life. Well, my teenage 20s, let's say 20s. I was out there conking, getting lobster, and sadly, we are our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
So a lot of us
Took too much.
they took too much, and they did a study and found that the populations were completely diminished, and they made the entire area a marine park now.
Wow.
So I have nowhere to go get conch in my native little area there.
It is
What about the
sad.
supermarket?
Girl.
Yeah, let me go put on my gear, dive into the freezer, just dive into that freezer and pull up some conch.
And go check
And then
out.
take.
We were talking about this off air as well. Like I don't think I've ever bought seafood in a grocery store. No.
It feels blasphemous to me to do that. I could go buy snapper and
What is this coming out doing in here? This is not me.
Ice.
Like, who?
Like I want it scaled by a guy.
Exactly.
So, like, what kind of memories do you have fishing with your old man and stuff?
He's sleeping right now. Jeez, he tells me every day I'm gonna take you fishing. You see the boat? It's still on the lift, but it wants to get in the water, Dad. Anyways, I grew up fishing with my father, getting conch and lobster and everything, and those truly are the best memories. Just my childhood, I wasn't on a computer, it wasn't on an iPad, it was right here in this sand and this water. So I think I had the best childhood I could have possibly had. I remember I caught my first wahoo January 1st, 2012, and it was 46 pounds and 5 ounces.
Oh my God! Okay.
But I remember this because I sold it to buy my first computer.
Hey.
So I bought my first
Hustler.
computer with Wahoo money. Wahoo money. I think it was $7 a pound. I can't remember. That wasn't up to me. I just did the fishing. I did the labor. that can sell it off. But grew up doing all the fishing tournaments, whether it was Kirk Slam, BK Big Fish.
Hey, shout out to BK Big
But
Fish.
even my grandma was a fisherwoman, okay?
Wow.
I think she still holds the record.
Your grandma holds the record?
Heaviest dolphin caught by a female angler. I'm almost
Really?
positive she still has it.
Dang.
She
Do you remember the weight?
Holding that for
I can't remember the weight of that one, but she caught blue marlin and everything. She was my mom's mom, so she's from Arkansas. Little did she know she was going to become a little island woman, but here we are today. But my favorite fish to catch is dolphin.
Oh, man.
The thrill of that, where you're like watching the man of war dive, and then you can see the dolphin coming to get your bait, and then
Yeah.
and then 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3. Then you pull it, and my dad screamed, "Don't horse it! Stop it! No, you're gonna lose the fish! Oh my gosh!" It's the most stressful but exciting thing, because when it finally gets in the boat, you're like, "Thank God,
Yes.
thank God, dear Lord."
What do you love about fishing?
I don't.
The thrill of it.
What
The
do I not love
fast-paced
about
nature of the
that?
fishing.
That's another problem. But anyways, what do I love about fishing? I just think I think the thrill of it. Like you wait, you're on your toes the whole time, and then it finally hits, and then you just try to get it in. I even compared the Miss Cayman pageant to fishing in a wahoo, because you don't want the fish to die, so you got to keep going. You got to keep going, and as soon as you hit that final question, that's when you got it and pull it in.
Interesting.
I love how you make
So obviously your schedule is super, super busy and stuff, right? But what do you do for downtime?
This is a bit embarrassing. Because of my ADHD, I was never a reader. Like, reading pained me. Like, when I had to do it for school, it was like, oh my gosh.
Your brain just starts thinking about a million other things,
Exactly.
and you forget
I would
what you
read
read.
a page
Yeah.
for like 20 minutes and still have no idea. But I recently got into reading as of a week ago. So right now, I've been reading, and it's kind of fun, guys. I get the hype, okay? It's like decompressing, because here's the thing is I would log on my phone and I see pageant. I'd log on and I see all these emails and WhatsApp, and it was 10 p.m. at night, so I'd answer them. So I needed something to just take my mind away. I used to journal, do the bullet journaling, like the pretty calligraphy and handwriting. Reading, guys, I get it. I'm starting to get it.
What book are you on? What book do you recommend for the people?
Okay, it's so cliche and girl of me. I just
The
finished
Notebook?
It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover.
Okay.
I don't know
Never
that
heard
one.
of it.
I know
Yeah,
the
no.
last
Yes,
book
you
is
have. It's the
Is
movie.
Is that the one that had the movie that everyone went to go see? Like, was it this year?
With Blake Lively.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but okay.
So good. Okay. Listen, if I like a book, that means it's actually good, because like I said, it takes a lot for me to I was talking to my mom. I was like, I think I have a guy preference, because I like books about like the cartel and like survival, and like concentration camps, but usually girls like fantasies and rom-coms. I'm like, no, what did Pablo Escobar do? I need to know. I'm like, what did he do? What was the kilos? What kind of method? Was it a boat?
Did you watch
plane?
Narcos on Netflix?
Yes, that's one of my favorite shows. It was so funny. I was talking to like these girls, and they're like, "You've never watched Gossip Girl?" And I'm like, "No."
me either.
They're like, "You've never watched Vampire Diaries?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "What do you watch?" I'm like, "Have you ever watched Narcos?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Have you ever watched American Made?" My favorite movie ever. They're like,
American Made, is that with Tom Cruise?
"Yeah."
When he's the pilot?
Exactly.
Yeah. That was great.
Yes, that's such a good movie. Real story too. Yeah. I actually did in public speaking. I took public speaking for my last semester at university. I did a speech about Lee Rich, because we were required to read a book.
Yeah.
We
and
need to get his book. I haven't read his book.
I didn't read his book. I read Sea of Greed. I read Sea of Greed, and that's another book that's good.
Which are the Lee Rich books?
I don't know the book that he wrote, but the book that I read for my reports was Sea of Greed.
All right.
And it includes all the main characters. Like it's a book of dialogue.
We need to interview
really
him.
Good.
Yeah.
And a lot of it happens here. So for me, I was even more invested, because I knew I knew what was happening. I knew the locations.
He wrote a book a couple years ago, but he aired out some people like, oh yeah, this guy he.
He put out some names there. It was controversial.
There was name droppings in Sea of Greed as well, but I think they did change some names. Like it was cool that they were talking about Bon Jovi and Ashton Locklear, yeah, whoever. But I was like, whoa, I could speak about this in my class.
The drama.
And people were like, what is she talking about? I was like, he did the largest drug smuggle into the United States. It was worth, and we weren't allowed to talk about numbers in that class. We had to give analogies, because the teacher for some reason didn't like numbers, but I went to the University of Florida, so I was like, his load was worth 500 gators. Was the weight of the average 500 American gator.
Oh,
That's how I kept my crowd entertained. You're like, whoa, this guy's cool.
What do you? I like these shows too, Narcos and stuff like that. But what do you like about the shows? What I like.
Phil, I'm trying to figure that out. I don't know why I like these shows.
I like how they outsmart everybody.
Yes.
You have to. I mean, that's the thing about the criminal mind. You have to beat the justice.
Wait, you talking about when like Escobar like tricked the government to giving him like his prison when he built his own compound?
We were even talking about this, like even like the
Narcos
Kardashian and Paris Hiltons.
Yeah.
Their minds just work different, that they just get what they want. Like people don't realize, okay, maybe not them, but like for example, like Pablo Escobar and these other people, they have every person figured out because they have to manipulate, they have to coerce them into getting what they want that no one suspects. It's like Anna Delvey, whatever she was. Like she just outsmarted everyone.
Do you like crime? Like I was trying to figure out why women love murder mysteries.
I don't know if I love murder.
You know what? Okay, okay. I just noticed like a lot of women that just have a thing for like murder mysteries or like real crime drama or whatever.
Yeah.
But see, okay, I don't love all of that because my mom always taught me from a young age, don't fill your head with garbage. So for me, I'm like, if I end up manifesting, I'm like, if I keep reading this, it's gonna happen to me. So I don't do the crime podcast. I like to fill my head with happy things, even though I like watching Narcos and stuff. So I contradict myself when it comes to my preferences.
I'll tell you, I used to watch a lot of CSI, like Las Vegas and Miami as a child, and then I became like a crime reporter, and I realized like, why did I end up in like reporting on the subject matter? Because of all the CSI
that you watch
for years.
Yeah, but I also watch Dance Moms. That's my
Dance Moms.
Your balance.
What's Dance Moms?
You don't know what Dance Moms is? Okay, I watch it every day. I can quote it. It's like my comfort show because I know what's gonna happen. So it's not like I'm on my toes. I'm like, yeah, Jill's gonna say this. Abby's gonna yell at her for this. So for me, I just watch it because I would watch it before I got ready for every gymnastics meet. I watch it every day when I watched it today at 5:30 while I was doing my hair for this. Like it's because I know what's gonna happen. So it just kind of.
It's
comfort.
common.
Yeah. That and Schitt's Creek. I named my cat David from Schitt's Creek.
I started watching that a little bit. It's funny. It's hilarious.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
I see it. I love the name Schitt's Creek.
Well, when you go home tonight, you're going to watch it.
Yeah.
And the father and the son are actually father and son.
Yeah. And did you know Twyla is their daughter in real life? Yeah.
Wow.
True story.
Cool.
I know everything about the show.
Of shows and movies, what movies are you into?
I want to go watch Wicked, even though I don't like musicals, but it's just the hype about it. My favorite movie is My favorite movie is American Made.
Very simple.
Okay.
And Interstellar.
All-time classic.
The Grinch.
The Grinch. Okay.
I love the Grinch. Watched it 2 nights ago, but again, because I can quote it, and I just such like his walk. It's like,
I can see it.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's it. I'm not going. Like, I just love the Grinch. Like, those are actually my 3 favorite movies. Oh, and Where the Crawdaddies Cry. That's okay. It's like all over the place. Like it's like multi-personality. That's like whatever mood I'm in. That's what I'm watching.
Well, Miss Rutty, I think I want to say.
Is the plane descending?
I think the plane is about to land now. The sun is out in full force. We've done all right for ourselves. You have any closing questions?
Don't worry about me.
We know you, but I never asked you had questions yet. You have any closing questions?
I have some questions to get out.
Speed round.
Go for it. Yes. Okay. Yes. Speed round. Huh?
I got this.
M&Ms or Snickers?
Oh yeah.
Doritos or Cheetos?
Doritos.
Oh.
Hot dogs or hamburgers?
Hamburger, absolutely.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Orange juice, orange juice, apple juice.
Apple juice, don't like orange juice.
Damn.
Interesting.
True story.
Snapper or grouper?
Snapper.
Okay.
Jack or snapper? Jack or fried bear? Fried bear.
Never
okay. Barra's so good.
Jerk chicken on island.
Jimmy Ann's Down East End.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard it here, folks. No hesitation. I told you I'm good at these speed rounds.
Oh,
What
snap.
else is there?
So are we going to do some feel eating after this now? I mean,
yes,
what did I say? Feel eating? Eel feeding?
Let's do some feel eating.
What was
Oh my God. Yo, say ADC brain, man. It's a thing.
That's not Freudian slip. Is that when you get the?
No, that was just a brain fart.
Freudian slip as a psychologist.
brain's
Freudian
broke.
slip is when your subconscious releases something that you were secretly thinking but that you didn't want out.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Like, so for example, if you're talking to a girl and you call her your ex, it's because you were thinking about your ex.
Oh. That for y'all.
Interesting.
That will we clean over here. We're not saying no Freudian slip.
Because like you'll see on like conspiracy YouTube channels, they'd be like, they said the quiet part out loud. Is that a Freudian slip?
Yeah.
I think that's what they're talking about. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, going forward, what does the rest of your year look like, and what do you want to achieve for 2025 before we get out of here?
I am so excited for 2025. I always say I have 4 goals. I want to talk to children about mental health and suicide awareness, teaching them like the lessons that I wish I knew sooner. That's what I kind of try and do on my podcast, just be like a big sister, giving support that I wish I knew earlier on. I want to talk to businesses and organizations like the older generation about generational trauma, because it's an issue that goes unnoticed in Cayman, but it is so prevalent whether you realize it or not. Working with the Cayman Heart Foundation to teach people healthy heart habits. Their goal is to try and save 100 lives in 2025. I believe it's 67% of the population is obese in Cayman, so as you can imagine, yeah, the diet here is not great. Very sedentary job, so just trying to switch that. And then finally working with the different ministries, but just showing how to do Cayman the Caymanian way. So going to Jimmy's in East End and experiencing the stops that Philip and I went on our photo shoot. Pictures coming soon.
And
soon. Great stuff.
I guess we can end with adopt, don't buy.
Adopt from the Humane Society.
Adopt, don't buy. Don't shop, sorry.
Adopt, don't shop.
There we go.
Yes, because you'll end up with a sweetie like Tebow, my little baby. He talks.
Yeah?
He actually talks. Like, you'll talk to him and he's like, oh. he's probably doing it right now. I'm not even joking. And when the ambulance
Does he argue with you?
Yes. Oh my gosh, she's so sassy. But when the ambulance goes by, Tebow and Chica, they go crazy. They hear it before we even hear it. They're like, oh. Like, it's crazy.
Do you remember when the radio would start to get like staticky and like someone was calling?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's how the dogs are?
Yeah.
No, they sense it even. I swear they can sense it.
Oh, man.
It's beautiful.
But yes, adopt shop.
Miss Rutty,
thank you so
I
much
appreciate you for having us out here.
I don't want this to end.
It's been a great time.
Having too much fun.
Well, we have more in the future coming, though, don't we? So big things coming up. You want to shout out your podcast there?
Yes. Make sure to tune in Mondays at 12 for the podcast on YouTube and Spotify. I think the Momager is going to make an appearance. We're going to do car episodes, I think, because her and I always have these great conversations. You got to give the name, though. Oh, the Raegan way. Always live the Raegan way.
All right.
After Ronald Reagan?
No. My name is spelled R-A-E, and as a joke, I always say my parents were dyslexic, but they don't like that joke. It's just because my mom read this book, and the owl was named Ray, like R-A-E, and she's like, I like that. I'm gonna name her Raegan, and I love that my name is spelled different. It just kind of suits me. Like if it was spelled R-E-A, ew, boring, little different. Have to tell people, no, it's R-A-E. Sorry.
There you go.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Oh man! All right, let's get out of here. Let's go feed some eels.
Yes.
What is Victor do? Okay, if you're driving with us, listening at home, enjoying a bath while you have us on your speakers, appreciate you listening. Thank you for joining us on this journey. I believe this will probably be the last show for the year. Maybe not. We might have some other things going on. But catch us on IG at Keisha's favorite pod link up. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pod link up. But this is the link up podcast. You may get confused, because other people stole the name, so we had to rig-a-majig it a bit. But thank you for tuning in. Catch us next time. Follow us on IG, Instagram. Was that? That's not a Freudian. That's a brain fart. That's right. That's a brain fart. There we go. My brain's broke. You just forget something that you should remember.
Yeah.
Something that's obvious.
Come on, Raegan.
Something that's obvious that's not there.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any psychology to that other than you just forgot.
Your brain's broke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The brain went on break.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, and I'm like, my brain's broke. Like, I'm sorry. This is how I am. Anyway,
The hamstrings
Follow us
spinning.
on YouTube. Catch new episodes. Hopefully most Wednesdays, almost every Wednesday. We say every Wednesday, but most Wednesdays.
It's hard work, people.
It's hard work,
It's hard work.
But we're out here. Thank you again, Raegan, for allowing us to
Thank
come
you.
on this
Anytime.
beautiful, beautiful beach on this lovely Sunday morning.
Lovely
Yes.
Sunday morning.
And until next time.
You've been with the Link Up Podcast. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Oh yeah, Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year.
You filthy animal.